little bit. Kind of the big change is I've cut the 2 Blackleaf Cliffs for Polluted Deltas, which I kind of feel like it should have been there for a while, but like with how the mana changed, like from the Lurrus time to this time, like before there, I don't think there was room for this, like the extra fetch lands, but now they're up to 23. I do feel like there's the room, and I think that the extra ability for Revolt lets you leave like 1 Fatal Push in against Omnath, which is kind of nice, which I think you want. And then we have the Ob Nixilis in the sideboard for the bird matchup, which I don't think we've streamed. Maybe we should one time with them. I'm off the Break the Ice tech in the sideboard, but one I think really good thought that I've had recently is, while for the longest time I was sideboarding the 3rd Terminate for like the Titan and the Murktide matchups, I've kind of come to the decision that Liliana the Veil is just like better in both of those matchups. See some weird stuff in the O2 bracket. Yeah, we're definitely due for a cold streak. Like all of this week, all last week, we're like really, really running hot. Playing against Belcher. They're pretty slow hand. If I take the Belcher, they're going to cast Balagad Recovery to get it back. So I don't kind of love that. They have 2 Balagad Recovery. I think I just take the Manamorphose and try to draw a Black Filter and kick Tourach and Striker Riches. Just so perfect here. Can you tell me why I shouldn't try to force negation Rainbow to try to protect a combo? Does it not work how I would hope, advancing the game plan? Yeah, force negation is not a spell you can cast on your own turn, so it doesn't protect your Persist or Unmarked Grave. It doesn't protect anything. If you could cast it on both turns, it would be more interesting, but it doesn't do that. Okay, I do have a Kolaghan's Command in the deck, but certainly not loving our spot here. Wrong choice, should have taken the Belcher. Well, again, they have 2 Balagad Recoveries in the hand, so we take the Belcher, they Balagad Recovery the Belcher. I feel like Manamorphose to try to stop them from drawing an Accelerant, which is exactly why we're in this position right now, was my line. They immediately drew an Accelerant. My line was worse, but if I take the Belcher there, I think we're still losing this game very likely. Maybe not against exactly Striker Rich. Definitely an awkward spot to be in, either way. I think that the Obs are maybe better than, like, the dead removal spells and the hearses, too. If they ever cast the Belcher, we lose to the Pact. Yeah, well, the idea is that I wanted to slow them down and have the Tourach snipe the Belcher out of the hand. That was my plan with me taking the Manamorphose, and them immediately drawing Striker Ridge was just like exactly the wrong thing in the plan, and then it's just very easy to be sitting on your couch and be like, wrong choice, Spike, you should have taken the Belcher. I think I'd take the land. I mean, they had 3 lands. They had 2 Balagad Recoveries. If they had only 1 Balagad Recovery, maybe it's easy to take that. I've been playing One Last Hope in the place of second command and is yet to disappoint. I mean, Liliana the Last Hope is, in my opinion, a hero card. I really just don't think it's a card that is up to snuff. I've cast a lot of that spell in Modern, and I think its time is maybe over, you know? Just giving opinion from a Belcher player perspective. Yeah, I know. I just kind of always hate, like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say hate, but it's maybe a pet peeve of mine when I take a line, the worst possible thing immediately happens, and then there's just like kind of this like immediate Spike. That was clearly the wrong play. You know what I mean? But taking the Belcher instead of forcing the opponent to spend resource turns to get back be viable. Yeah, it would have been fine. But I think either way, both lines, taking Metamorphose or taking Belcher, are completely reliant on me getting to turn 4 to Tourach them out of the hand. And I thought that taking Metamorphose makes it less likely that my opponents can be able to find Strike It Rich or Pyretic Ritual or Desperate Ritual, which throws a wrench in that plan, right? And that was my thinking there. They want to be rude, just opinion. Yeah, it's fine. Again, it's I shouldn't complain so much. March of Reckless Joy, X equals 3. There's a Spikefield Hazard, a Goblin Charbelcher, and a Shatter Skull Smashing up there. So we can get them down to 1 card in their hand. And if it's a ritual, they get to Belcher, but not activate. All the lands are also tapped. Another reason I was going to line. Again, the reason's tapped for the Tourach. We could just move on. I don't mean to whine too much, but we can just move on. Okay, so they don't have the ritual in hand, which is obviously really good for me. I think that I have to crack this Voidwalker this turn. Ooh, I can play Seagate Restoration. I guess I should have held the card in the hand. But I need to crack the Voidwalker so I can cast the Kroxa. Alright. No maximum hand size. Oh, I guess this means I don't have to discard a card to Liliana. Maybe it's a wash. Okay. Game 3. Okay, having Kolaghan's command is pretty nice because I do think a lot of times in this matchup, opponents are going to just deploy the Belcher. That being said, turn 3 on the draw may even be a little slow. We don't have any discard. We don't have Ragavan. I think we're supposed to mulligan. Having Ragavan is really big. I'm going to put back a Bolt. Can I get my thoughts quickly on Licensors in the main deck of Merfolk? I mean, I feel like this is like the second. So someone earlier asked about like Ledger Shredder and Murktide, and now you're asking about Hearst and Merfolk. It's fine. I also just think that Merfolk is the kind of deck that Merfolk players act like they just have to find like this one of like goofy card that's going to really solve all their problems for them. Is just how it feels like this very often. That Merfolk players act like if they can just figure out main deck Ledger Shredder, main deck Hearse, like the perfect suite, this is going to be exactly it. And it's fine. I wouldn't like advocate against a main deck Hearse and Merfolk, but I also think like not playing like the more 2-drops you play that aren't Merfolk, the more like you're diluting your Merfolk strategy, and you want to play Unlicensed Hearse because your Merfolk strategy is not good. You know what I mean? Or at least it's like not that well positioned. I just don't know. I just don't have like I guess a strong opinion on the matter. Okay, so I don't have too many outs to this, unfortunately. Yeah, Subtlety is good in the deck for sure. I have to draw exactly Pithing Needle, I think. Yeah, M. Hayashi Brain. Smash Up seems so hard. Yeah, it's definitely not good. Definitely not good. Recross the Paths, I think, is the biggest problem. Where, like, this is, like, just a card that owns discard really hard. Yeah, Dash Ragavan could get there. Always nice to recross the paths gives you a scry, you know. Always nice. I'm gonna give my opponent credit for stacking their deck correctly. Coldest streak I can remember. Yeah, we'll see if we can keep it going. We'll see if we can keep it going. Very likely playing against Burn, so I think I'm unlikely to play Blood Crypt Thoughtseize on turn 1. Although it would help me hedge a little bit against an Eidolon. I think I'm just going to play tap Blood Crypt, try to Thoughtseize turn 2 if they don't play Eidolon. If they do play Eidolon, we'll just Liliana it on turn 3. GG's fell. Why is there shorts in sideboard of food? So there's like against specifically Murktide and Grixis Shadow, but also like, you know, matchups like Merfolk that have a lot of spreading seas effects. You want to cut like 2 Urza Sagas, and when you do cut 2 Urza Sagas, you want to have an extra land to bring in. Okay, so not burn. My opponent's playing a deck. Thoughts on Shadow of Doubt in Modern? Shadow of Doubt is probably like hella underplayed, to be honest. Recently, like, you know, really struggling with like the 15th sideboard card in this Rakdos deck, and a friend of mine suggested playing Shadow of Doubt. I thought it was kind of interesting, especially with like red-green Valakut kind of being back in on the uptick, but I think I would rather just hold up the Terminate. Like, there's a good chance they just dash this Ragavan again, and I would much rather like spend 2 mana after they spend 2 mana than just like Thoughtseize the Ragavan and then they can have they just still have the rest of their mana. Stoneblade. I think Stoneblade's a good guess, although the second basic mountain means much less likely. But we get Mana Tithe. You get Mana Tithe, the stream is over. That is the end of today's stream. Okay, the stream continues. Is it Prison? I think that you're probably never supposed to look at your opponent's side of the field in Modern and be like, is this mono Red Prison or Boros Prison? Like, maybe it is, but you don't need to be so worried if it is. And it's very unlikely to be the case. This is probably like a Boros Stoneblade deck, or like maybe like a Shrapnel Blast Burn deck. I was rooting for you to see if it ended. I would have ended it. I think I would have. It would have been pretty funny. Yeah, it could be the Crack the Earth deck too. I really want a Snapcaster Shadow of Doubt. That's my new hope in Modern. Fury pitching Lightning Bolt, so probably playing, you know, an Ephemerate deck. Wait, they're just not Ephemerating Fury, so Liliana gets to be a 3-for-1? It's pretty nuts. Wait, why did they Lightning Bolt? They just pitched Lightning Bolt. They pitched Lightning Bolt to Fury Liliana. Get them out of cards in hand, I guess. Oh no, opponent's lost in the sauce. Oh no, opponent. I spent many weekends. Messing around with Boros brought back decks with Showdown of the Scalds. I spent a long time sweating, shirtless, just not eating, not leaving the room, desperately trying to find a good Showdown of the Scalds brought back deck with like Lotus Field, not Lotus Field. It's just I tried every version you could possibly imagine, and I just kind of determined that the deck doesn't really have a good build. Although maybe my opponents cracked it with the Sword Plan. Okay, they didn't play their land into Liliana. Rookie mistake. Especially with 4 drops in your deck. I guess we are just like a fervent champion away from getting like totally owned though. Alright, the Voidwalker was good enough though. Yeah, 0-1 bracket baby. Spike, why do you drop at 0-2? What's the point of dropping at 0-2? So I guess I could get some wins if I didn't drop at 0-2 though. Well, I guess I don't really know how to sideboard either. I'm probably not going to sideboard super heavily. I think I'll play second Kolaghan's Command over the Hearse and click submit. Do you get the red-white ramp deck out of that? Yeah. This deck, the Boros Golos deck, which I think we've had a pretty good time with. I think it's been a pretty good deck. Not like super tier 1 or anything, but totally solid win rate. Good matchup spread. I don't see it. Yeah, as soon as I stopped trying to play brought back in these lists, I think the deck got so much better. Not that I have given up completely on, I guess, ever registering brought back in a list like this in the future, but I started to win a lot more when I cut them. Does Pithing Needle a sword stop Fervent? It does. I mean, I don't even know that my opponent's playing Fervent Champion. Their list definitely seems like it's kind of all over the place. It could be the Fervent Blade list with Showdown of the Skulls brought back, and then brought back has some synergy with the Ranger captains you play. But I also think, you know, to some extent, you know, you just don't need to make sense out of I always have this problem where I like try to like completely build my opponent's deck in my head when I don't know what they're playing. You know what I mean? When I don't know what they're playing, but then like the list like starts to not make sense to me a little bit, and I need to like just not try to make sense out of something that's not like a super cohesive list, if that makes sense. The other day at 4-0, I got an 0-1 opponent, so I'm pretty sure matchmaking is not advanced to make it to me. Yeah, it hasn't been as, like, lately especially, it's been a little wonky. I think I just want to play a Kroxa and, like, any, like, lightning bolt my opponent has over there. I'm playing 2 Unearth in the sideboard of Rakdos for my thoughts on this. I kind of don't love it. Like, I don't know that it's, like, is it really good against Omnath? Like, I also feel like you're kind of, like, low on, like, good creatures to unearth. Like, unearthing Seasoned Pyromancer is really good. Unearthing Voidwalker is okay. Unearthing Ragavan is mediocre. So I guess I don't necessarily understand the thoughts behind like really wanting to have access to like 2 of the card. I could see maybe the first copy together with Fulminator. I mean, if you're playing Fulminator, it's way better. But I also don't think that you necessarily need the help of the Tron and Titan matchups. Okay, opponent finds a land. No. Oh boy. This is how we go out, chat. we could probably still win, but we could probably still win, but oh boy, this is scary. We have Liliana, we've got maybe something to hit off the Voidwalker. We're still pretty ahead. We'll kick Tourach next turn. So I think my opponent has Solitude in their hand, and then they know that they have to Solitude my Voidwalker in response, or I get to Solitude their Sanctifier. Do we know how heavily Moto matchmaking counts for your ratings? I think that the ratings have like 0 impact, is my understanding. They have a second Sanctifier, in fact. Do I just take that? No, I think I take a Solitude. Let's take a Solitude one. Solitude the Sanctifier. Or a Sanctifier. Yeah, I know if I take a Fury, it gets exiled the Sanctifier instead of Voidwalker. So now they can't deal with my Voidwalker. Their only line is to cast a Sanctifier, in fact. It's the only play available to them. Smack for 2. And so then I get to Tourach the... We should be fine here. I get to Tourach the Fury Ephemerate out of their hand. I get to Solitude in combat and block the Sanctifier, in fact, after they attack into it. And should be totally fine. How was Kendrick? Kendrick was great. My next RCQ is this weekend. I think I'm going to play 2 this weekend. I just found out that there's also one on Sunday. I have like a really small limited RCQ. It's like by far the smallest one I'm going to be playing. I don't know how. I just knew my opponent was going to attack into the Solitude. Maybe they drew something, but I just like... Solitude may phase the player on Ephemerate. Maybe that's better, but... I don't know. I just kind of got the vibe that this opponent in particular would attack into the Solitude. I don't really know how to explain it, but like sometimes sometimes do you ever just like get the vibe that your opponent's about to make a huge punt, you know? Like against most players, like I don't expect them to like walk into something like that, but sometimes you could just get a feel for it and like let your opponent play into it. I have a hard time like I feel like I have a hard time articulating a lot of my thought processes, but maybe you could get yeah, we're just in the 0-1 bracket. Maybe it's not that complicated. Yeah, it's also, yeah, it's super easy for my opponent to just be like, okay, I'm playing against the red-black deck. This card is, like, invincible. Yeah, but Kindred was really, really good. It's just, like, definitely the best weekend of my recent memory, and... I like, you know that scene in Ratatouille where he eats the Ratatouille and he's just young again? When Kendrick played Backstreet Freestyle, I just like, I could feel myself de-aging 10 years. It was awesome. Are you trying to qualify for the RC? I'm trying. I've played, I think, 4 qualifiers, maybe 5, including DreamHack. So I played DreamHack. I got caught in the Great Creator round 1. So I played the DreamHack event, and then I played a 100-person modern RCQ with just guy Lotus Field, because I convinced myself that people were going to be playing a ton of Living End and 4-color, and I kind of like naively kind of I think I just didn't understand what the RCQ meta was going to be like. Red black, like the next day it was pretty small. I beat Titan, and I went game 1 against 4-color Omnath, game 2 against 4-color Omnath. I think I have an amazing hand on the draw. I have 2 Inquisitions, 3 lands, Seasoned Pyromancer, Kroxa. 2 Inquisitions, 3 lands, Seasoned Pyromancer, Kroxa. And I Inquisition my opponent, and she's kept a hand of 2 lands, Omnath, and then like 4 5-drops or 3 5-drops, something like that. And my second Inquisition is terrible. She immediately finds like Risen Reef land into Omnath, and I just get buried. And then game 3, I have a mulligan to 4. And then the next round, I got top decked by Titan twice in a row, and that was my tournament. And then I played a Sealed Double Masters RCQ. Sealed Double Masters RCQ. It was 126 players, but I started off 5-0. I was feeling great. Ooh, we're dead. We don't get to make that joke too much anymore, I guess. We don't get to make the joke of just being dead to Reshaper much anymore. Okay, so I'll let this Thought Not Seer resolve and then terminate it. So I was 5-0. My friend ran it through a calculator. Another friend with an accounting degree looked at the standings. I looked at the standings. We all thought it was going to be a clean cut. It was not a clean cut. There was one X and one that had to like win 2 rounds in a row to make top 8. And I had the worst breaker, so I had to play, and I lost. And the player I needed to lose won, and I got 9th place at the RCQ. And so that's been my experience so far. It's been pretty rough. Are most RCQs in America modern? At least in my area. I think it's pretty like region based, but there's pioneer ones too. There's limited ones too. Accounting degree means nothing. Yeah, I've come to learn this. I've come to learn to not have put so much weight on this accounting degree. Oh, this is also like a long time for. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. I know no ill will towards my pal. What deck you played at RCQ? Why wasn't it 4-color on math? So, like, fucking true, to be honest. Like, I really, it's like my big mistake this season, I think, has been like incredibly underestimating what, like, or not understanding what the Pioneer metagame looks like, or the paper RCQ metagame looks like, where John to Midrange is like a tier 1 deck in the in the paper RCQ metagame. John Midrange is like one of the most popular decks in the format. John Midrange, Murktide, Hammer Time, Blue White Control are just like the meta. that's the meta. And 4-color Obnath is like the best deck for that environment. And it's not super close. And I've like I don't know. It's Tron is also popular. Tron is like kind of like one of the few natural predators of the archetype, but gosh, it's just maybe I should probably get the Urborg if I'm bringing in the Voidmere, actually. I'm gonna play one Hearse, not really. Play one Explosive Snake, play one Nick, play third Inquisition, I guess. Ton of burn at Texas RCQs. There hasn't really been a ton of burn in my experience, but there's been like maybe like a slight above average. Maybe slightly above average. When Dying Hill, Shredder Murktide is tier 0, the 4-color matchup is not bad. It is like super objectively bad, you know what I mean? Like, I do think that there's like a pretty high degree of copium when it comes to the Murktide players saying the 4-color matchup is not bad, actually. It is 100% unfavorable for you. That being said, you can win, you know, like you can win your bad matchups, and it's not like, maybe it's not abysmally bad in the sense that like you're just, you know, can't win, but like you're not above 50% to beat Omnath. You know what I mean? So they can find an Out to the Voidmere with their Expedition map here. I think I'm going to discard Alpine Moon, Kroxa. Any chance we play some Gen Coco again? Yeah, there's a good chance. I've actually had it prepped for a long time, but I kind of feel like the Banned Company deck is the better like of the two company variants. So I'm not sure like how much reason we'll have to play it besides just kind of like generally liking it, which is maybe a good enough reason. Yeah. Grixis Shadow has a better 4-color matchup than Murktide, but it's still also not favored. Rakdos has a better chance against 4-color than all three of them, but you're still not favored. It's just like, I don't think it's really possible to play like a fair mid-range deck and just be like, yeah, I've got a favorable Omnath matchup, and I definitely consider Murktide to be a mid-range deck. But maybe it's also like possible that you found a way to attack the matchup that I haven't, you know what I mean? I think I should take the Karn. I don't really care about this Thought-Knot Seer at all. Tech for Mia? I think Brutality over Ob, and what about Surgical on the board? So I had Brutality for a long time as my anti-burn sideboard card. I think burn is popular enough to be respecting it. I lost a game where I had like a painless hand on the draw against burn, and I had both collective brutalities. I had a 7-card keep, and I lost like super hard. And so I was looking for another sideboard option. I think Ob is the best sideboard card you can play for the burn matchup. That's why I have it. I don't like Surgical very much, but I know a lot of people are not in that camp of not liking Surgical. Mardu Midrange, interesting, with Grief Solitude, 4 Ephemerate at the line. Okay, we're on the blind in a new matchup, 2-1, bouncing back from our slump this morning a little bit. I think I do like 5 like creature. I also have Solitude. Yeah, you don't need to main deck a Terminate if you have Solitude, actually. But I also think I just want to play 2 Malakir Rebirth. So I want to see you do something like 4 Ranger Captain, 2 Spyro, 2 Malakir Rebirth, 4 Fatal Push, no Terminate, and that gives you 1 flex spot. Don't play a Savai Triumph in your Death Shadow deck either. You just need to fetch Shock 2 aggressively. You could play third Seasoned Pyromancer. You could play just another different land. I'm not sure which land exactly though. Playing against Glimpse combo. I like the Fortuners in the sideboard a lot. I probably play second Wear Tear over first Kolaghan's Command on the board. Charmals are fine. I don't think Fracture is good. I would just play any number of Wear Tear over any number of Fracture. Wait, hold on. The Thoughtseizes are on the sideboard? Oh, man. Yeah, you need to play 4 Thoughtseizes in the main deck of your Death Shadow deck. I think even if you're on the Grief Solitude plan. I'm trying to remember how many flex spots we had. We just did 1. Oh, no. Maybe we could do something like 3 Solitude main, 4 Solitude on the board, 2 Thoughtseize main, 2 side. It's tough. Maybe you just move off the Stoneforge Mystic plan completely, so you can play the Thoughtseizes. That's maybe the play. Cut the Stoneforge Mystic package, and then you could just play 4 Ranger Captain, 4 Spyro. Maybe play like 2 Giver of Runes as Ranger Captain targets. Deck really opens up, you know. Pretty good turn. If I draw a land. If I draw a land, I guess I'll just, like, Spyro cast my own Glimpse. I did draw it, though. Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic in the Shadow deck is probably just not correct, actually. I think that's how I would build it. Or not build it, I guess. Explosives is kind of good against this version, too. I think I'll play, like, 2. Oh, I don't want this Kolaghan's Command either. So 2 explosives. Could play Boil. Boil's okay against them. Not amazing, but definitely has its moments. Could play 1 Terminate. I think I'll play 1 Boil. Kind of for funsies. 1 Terminate for Omnath. Maybe 1 Push. Too much pet cards. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think the idea is interesting. For sure. I've definitely been kind of looking at like 3-color scam decks. I think that the Rakdos version's the best, but I was also kind of messing around with trying to build this. This is kind of old, but maybe I called it Charming Jun Scam. Okay, it was just like the Rakdos scam deck splashing for Riveteer's Charm. I don't know where it went. Ooh, doubled in. I think we have to mulligan. This hand's great, though. This hand's really good. Definitely good Ragavan matchup. What makes it a scam? I don't know. Sometimes, like, I think that the idea of, like, Grief, Malak, Rebirth as a deck is something that a lot of players identify as being underpowered. And it kind of is, but the deck definitely works out pretty well and has, like, way more consistency, but a lot of players feel like they've been scammed into playing the deck is why it's earned that name. Do you ever delete? Yeah, I delete a lot of my decks, but I'll usually, like, just kind of, I spend a lot of time scrolling through them in the evenings, and if I feel like there's, like, any, like, interesting, like, info or knowledge in one of them, then I keep them around, even if they're not, like, super competitive still. The Stoneforge Mystic do both ephemerate. Yeah, I know how Stoneforge Mystics works with ephemerate, but yeah, I know Stoneforge Mystic works well with ephemerate, but I think it's still like not where you can afford to be, if that makes sense. What did they pitch? They pitched another Fury. Am I going to trade explosives for 1 token here? I think no. Really hoping to draw land for Tourach, though. Okay, hard to be too upset with that, although my explosives is obviously now much worse, but I will Spyro here. We did beat E-Tron. I think E-Tron's a good matchup. I have an actual deck tech for me today. Oh, you've earned it. Ooh, double reef. This is what's so good about Glimpse combos. Even if your opponent has, like, you know, Chalice of the Void against you, just start casting Risen Reefs, Evoking Furies, Omnaths. Like Living In just does not have this backup game plan. Rhinos is kind of, I guess, kind of does, but maybe it's not even as good. Yeah, sometimes they board out the combo. That's awesome. I didn't know that. You're just like too buried in value. We'll get the one lander. Okay, having Urborg's nice. I think we just put back the Hearse with this hand. I literally can't remember what I called the deck. Hold on. It's really cool though. I don't want to talk about it without having the list up though. Okay, we're playing the Rakdos Mirror by the looks of it. I think I'll just play a Voidwalker this turn, although it's very likely to just die. I don't see it in my like downloads either. I might just have to save it. Yaden through 3 months, appreciate you. Steve the 15, thank you. I think of going up to 19 lands in Grixis Shadow with 19th Islet, including main deck Tourach. Okay, I don't like playing a Tourach in the main deck if you're gonna be adding a blue-red land, but you can't like if you're gonna main deck Tourach, that's fine. I also think if you're gonna main deck Tourach though, you could just play 19 lands, main deck Tourach, and just not play Death Shadow. I think that is a totally reasonable way to build Grixis. I don't think Tourach is good in every matchup. It's not bad in almost any matchup. Like, you know, every matchup plays cards to discard, you know. I don't think that the idea is too bad. I didn't miss Districtotron's deck, did I? No. I think so. Yaden with the 30, Steve's with the 15. I don't know what I call... I think that there's maybe an issue with, like, the naming. Maybe the list got deleted for the other one. We could maybe just try to like reconstruct it too, I guess. Okay, I want to Thoughtseize with the Voidwalker in play. And if they kill it, I can at least play the Marsh Flats. Okay, they're playing the Scam variant. So I think I just like to Seasoned Pyromancer here. Discard both Ragavans against the Spikefield Cave. I guess we haven't done a brewing stream in a while. Well, I look at Red Black Anvil again. I am currently looking at it. I don't know how best to build it though. Interest with creativity shells in Modern. I mean, we've played creativity shells on the stream before. You gonna fear the Ragavan? We've played creativity shells on the stream before. I think that there's a lot of like really talented players working on the archetype. Most specifically, like Nassif's had like a lot of really good versions of the deck lately, and I don't think that the deck really needs a lot of help. I don't know. I don't. If I have ideas for it, I'll work on it. But I don't currently have ideas for it. It's kind of my answer to a lot of things, I guess. Okay. Definitely just interested in holding up a Lightning Bolt for the Ragavan this turn, and kind of want to make them spend the mana to dash Ragavan Shizo again if I can. Okay, I'm just gonna give one more once over. I feel like maybe the lists are like... Sometimes I'll like make a new list in Magic Online, and then it just won't save for whatever reason, and I have to like reconstruct it. I'm a bit worried that's what happened with this mystery brew that I was excited to show off. But I think it's a bit too complicated to just like reconstruct, and I think I don't want to talk about it without having the list up, so we'll save it for later. How's Kroxa performing in the endurance meta? Are we in the endurance meta? I don't know. Oh, sorry, I meant to make them spend the mana on Shizo. I don't know. I know that the 4-color Omnath decks are playing more endurances. This deck is not favored against 4-color Omnath. Kroxa is bad against endurance. Kroxa is bad against Graveyard Hate, for sure. But I just don't know that that's like the meta-defining card either. Okay, pretty solid chance that I'll just want to channel this. Although maybe playing it lets me like play it, draw a land and play it next turn if I keep Liliana in play. Although I guess they're more likely to just Spike Field Hazard my Ragavan or my Liliana. The deck tech up before, do you think 4 Ranger, 4 Ephemerate are sufficient for the Solitude plan? 12 white cards is a little low. Alright, Feign Death getting me. Can only be blocked except for Artifact Black Creatures. These are neither of those. Is there a reason why Red Black has moved away from Channeler Bauble? Are those cards still good for the deck? We've built Channeler Bauble versions of the deck. You can still play Channeler Bauble if you want to. Ugh, brutal. But it's very difficult to play Dauthi Voidwalker and Channeler and Mishra's Bauble in the deck. I think that it does. Like, you also have to remember that you have to keep a requisite of interaction. You have to play Ragavan. I think you have to play Seasoned Pyromancer. I think you have to play Kroxa. I think it's my opinion that Dauthi Voidwalker is like a better. You also play less Tourach, I guess, too. But it's my opinion that Voidwalker is a better enabler for the archetype, or better payoff for the archetype rather than Channeler. Next, let's take with the 19 months. Appreciate you. So we lose our Sokenzan, unfortunately, to our own Liliana. I think we killed the Liliana, and then I guess it's actually better to play around a top-decked Undying effect than another top-decked Ragavan, since they have more of those left in the deck, right? Would I take to a smaller Pioneer RCQ? If I was going to do a Pioneer RCQ, I would play Phoenix at the moment. Phoenix is a deck that I feel very comfortable against mono green, mono blue, Rakdos, Sacrifice, Rakdos midrange, blue-white control. There's no matchup I feel uncomfortable at all, really. And I think that all of those other decks I've just listed, I think that there's really no other list I would feel like has just like as good a matchup spread as the Phoenix decks at the moment. That being said, I also haven't played Pioneer in like a month, so I'm definitely not the best person to ask. Lotus Field destroys Phoenix. Yeah, that's true. Lotus Field is definitely a bad matchup, but at the very least in Magic Online, I haven't seen like almost anybody play Lotus Field these days, so it's like not super on my radar. But that is definitely true that Lotus Field is your bad matchup. But as far as I can tell, it hasn't been very popular. If we want the extra Hers. He's going down. 3 Inquisitions. I think I keep Thoughtseize because they're on the Grief Fury plan. Seems fine. But Lotus Field feels like the Titan of the format. Yeah. I think that Lotus Field is good. I think that the deck's good. I know a lot of people poo-poo it or whatever. It just folds to the aggro decks. Yeah. I don't know that the like. I think if you win the die roll with your Lotus Field deck and you have a Grazer, it's like the aggro deck matchup goes from being like pretty bad to like unlosable, you know. But maybe that's just like too small a range of draws. But even if you just win the die roll, I feel like you're beating like mono red heroic a lot of the time. But if you lose the die roll, it's also very hard to win. And I think some players are really like comfortable with their matchups being like very play draw dependent, and some players aren't. No Magmatic Channeler. No, I'm not playing Magmatic Channeler. I've messed with that card in the past. I used to play like before Modern Horizons 2. Before Modern Horizons 2. Hold on, I'm not gonna text. This like red-black Witch's Cottage deck with Lightning Skelemental and Seasoned Pyromancer. And very, very recently I've started to become kind of interested in playing a Witch's Cottage deck with Tourach. I think the idea of Witch's Cottaging back at Tourach is kind of interesting. Witch's Cottaging back at Spyro is pretty good. But I think that I don't know if that mana base is going to be... Like, one awkward thing is, like, if you play Ragavan, like, playing Ragavan in your Witch's Cottage deck is really awkward where you're playing a red 1 mana spell in a deck that wants to be playing like completely swamps. Obviously, you still have your Blood Crypts, you have a lot of fetch lands, and you could probably pretty easily play 15 red sources with 11 fetch lands, 4 Blood Crypts, but it could just be a little awkward. Then you also want to play Seasoned Pyromancer, which has like another Premier, which is Cottage card. Can maybe be awkward too. So I'm just not like really sure. Do I write down deck ideas or just track it all in my head? I'm like a very disorganized person. I don't have like a whiteboard or notebook or anything. Just kind of like hyper focus on what I'm interested in. Could you make Descendant's Path playable with Witch's Cottage? Does Descendant's Path cast the card? I don't know. It's like the problem with Descendant's Path is it's so much work to cheat a creature into play, right? Where like especially when you compare it to Aether Mage's Touch. Both cottaging a changeling to the top of your library when you have Descendant's Path in play, it just seems so slow. When you compare it to Aether Mage's Touch, it doesn't require to play like a goofy changelings or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know how you would make it work. Dude, they boarded in Blood Moon. Blood Moon's good against me though. It's hard to fault them too much for it. I think I have to take it. Just like it turns off my Tourach so well. I just didn't think that. I guess they probably know the list, but I think a lot of people assume that the Blood Moon's not this good against the Rakdos variant. We have a lot of really heavy black cards and only one basic swamp. Do you think they'll make 1 mana creatures that are also land types? I don't know what that means. Just like a 1 mana mana dork. That's like a Dryad Arbor. And do I think that they'll make it? Yes, they will for sure make it. Thoughts on a single Planeswalker deck? Do you help with moon effects? People have been talking about this a little bit lately. 1 basic Plains in the Esper Aether Mage's Touch Reanimator deck does not help you against Blood Moon that much. It helps you a little bit, but you only have 4 Marsh Flats. In my opinion, it's really just not going to be the deciding factor in beating a Blood Moon or not beating a Blood Moon in most games. You're still soft to it. And the other reality, too, is that every single game that does not contain a Blood Moon, your deck is much worse because you have a Plains in a deck that is trying to have all swamps for Witch's Cottages. Every time you draw that Plains, it is going to be an awkward draw or a huge chunk of the time. Basic Plains also doesn't cast Tainted Indulgence. That's a huge problem too. And I think that in their pursuit to beat everything, a lot of players have the tendency to forgo percentage points in matchups that actually matter. You know, I think this is a very common thing I see is that players just want to not be cold to anything. They play the Banned Collected Company deck, and they say, Spike, how do we beat Torpor Orb? You play the Esper Witch's Cottage deck, and you say, Spike, how do we beat Blood Moon? But like the reality is that Blood Moon and Torpor Orb are not very common. They're very good against your strategy. There's not very much you can do to just be very good against the card. It's okay to be soft to lock pieces in Modern. Yeah, 1 basic island, 1 brazen borrower. How do you beat a Quicksilver Fountain? Quicksilver Fountain. So someone on Twitter posted this card. It's a Jund card. It's a Jund enchantment, black, red, green, that says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-basic land they control. And I saw that card and I was like, dude, this is gonna make for an awesome Modern brew. And you know what? I'm gonna try to prioritize Hersing the Kroxa here. And you know what? That card isn't even Modern legal. That card isn't even Modern legal. It's a big ripoff. I was like just heartbroken to find out that card was not Modern legal. It was gonna be a Destructive Flow. That card, I'm like, dude, we can play all basics. We can play Abundant Growth. We can play Abundant Harvest. Maybe not Harvest, but we can play Abundant Growth. We can play all basic Jund deck. Hell yeah. I'd never seen Destructive Flow before, but that card seems awesome. It would have almost certainly like showed up in Modern before the like, like you know what I mean. It would have been one of those cards that surely someone would have played it before. I would have seen it. Being cracked in Standard, yeah, I bet. Card seems great. It'd be so cool for Modern. It would maybe be. I don't think it would be too good, but it would be really cool. Can we do Riveteer's Ascendancy plus Fulminator Mage? I don't think I want to reread Riveteer's Ascendancy. Okay, I'm reading it. Whenever you sack a creature, you may return creature card with lesser mana value from the graveyard to battlefield tap. Do this once each turn. Well, I mean, like, what creatures with lesser mana value than... Yeah, what creature with lesser or greater mana value than Fulminator Mage are we playing? You know what I mean? Obi-Wan Kenobi, thank you for your service in the Clone Wars, and thank you. I'm glad you're liking the content. Ragavan? Okay, let me read it. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, you return a creature with lesser mana value from graveyard to battlefield. Okay, oh, so I see. Fulminator's Mage triggers Riveteer's Ascendancy. That's the joke, I see. I thought that the idea was to like recur your Fulminator Mage with Riveteer's Ascendancy. Although, yeah, Avalanche Rider sacks itself. I think you bring back your Fulminator Mage. Although I will also say this: like 3-mana enchantments that don't impact the board at all tend to not be very good. Those work with Kroxa, yeah. All right, we're brewing now. We're brewing now. Works with okay, it does actually work pretty well with Fury Grief, right? Where it pitches to both Fury and Grief, and then you Riveteer's Ascendancy, and then you can immediately evoke one of your incarnations and trigger the Ascendancy. It only triggers once each turn, though. That's kind of like the worst part. We're playing the Herder deck and streaming time soon. Yeah, I think I'll play it again this week, either like tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a brewing stream. Pitch Fury, get back Grief. Okay, but I realize I can block the Ragavan with the Hearse, I think, is the reason for no attack here. I tried a Jund Jack with the Riveteer's Ascendancy and the 3 Jund Incarnations. It was pretty fun, at least. Does sound really fun. What are Esper Reanimator's worst matchups? Rhinos, mostly, I think. Or Rhinos is the worst one. I don't know if there's, like, another, like, super specific one you're super scared of. I guess I should have let the Kroxa trigger resolve before channeling, but I do want to channel while I have it available for 2 mana. I can keep the bolt up. Dude, on their turn to get extra activation. Yeah, it's possible with like Endurance. I don't know. Oh, dude, Voidwalker sacks itself too. Voidwalker sacks itself too. Got a brew stewing, huh? Got a brew stewing. Skelemental sacks itself. This might be a deck. I know it might be a deck. We're not crew Hearse with the Kroxa. I'm just not. I don't want to attack with the Hearse this turn. Is why. Yeah. The problem is like you need this dopey 3-mana enchantment, but Unearth Skelemental, Jund Ascendancy. Yeah, so your creature suite is like Lightning Skelemental, which is a card I hate. Lightning Skelemental, Fury, Grief, maybe Endurance, but you probably don't have enough green cards for Endurance. Fury, Grief, Skelemental, Dauthi Voidwalker, Ragavan. So I mean, you're just the Rakdos Scam deck. You're just Rakdos Scam with like this kind of like sweet techie card, I guess. All right, I do have an artifact creature in play. Are there any good green self-sacrifice other than Steve? And worst mana. Yeah, worst mana, the inability to play Blood Moon. Oh, dude, Uro, yeah. Uro. Yeah, I mean, I just hate Skelemental so much. I just really dislike that card. I guess I'm bolting the Ragavan. I kind of feel like maybe it's better to bolt the Spyro and exile it, though. Do I think Uro should be unbanned from Modern? No. we don't, no, never. Uro led to some really bad gameplay patterns. It was like a very miserable card to exist in the format. I'm happy it's gone. I hope it never becomes around again. Desert Nomad, 13 months. Thank you. All right, so kicking and screaming, we have a 3/2. I guess we're gonna let's work on the stupid Riveteers deck. I don't know what's happening to this channel, but I even like I know somewhere in my drafts I have a